All right, so now that we have created all of our sides and our bottom of the speaker box, we're going to take a look at doing the actual design work, sort of artistic work you want to put into the side. So a couple things to keep in mind. First of all, you got to know which is the inside and the outside of the side. So for example, here's my acrylic side, it's the front. And so if I look at the front of my face, remember that's the inside. So all of our design work needs to be done on the outside. So if I rotate around, this is the actual outside facing part. And then if I want to orient it correctly, this is the way the face looks, the box looks facing upwards. If you want it facing upwards, this is the way you do your design. All right. So just like we did on the acrylic picture frame project, if you want to do a design, you can just start another sketch. You can insert a picture that you find, a JPEG or a PNG that you find off the internet, trace around it. But another thing you can do, but remember the sketches like that will not show up in your actual drawing files or in your what's it called, your assemblies and stuff like that. But there is a way to actually get that stuff to show up if you use something called the emboss feature. So what I mean by that is I'll show you a quick example here. So also, if this is the laser piece on the laser, like the acrylic or the wood, you can start a separate sketch if it's going to be on the carvey. So this only applies to the HDPE tile. It does need to be in the same sketch. So I'm going to do a separate sketch right now. Just remember, if you're going to do it in the same sketch, you just expand the extrusion and then right click and say edit sketch. But I'm going to, because this one's on the acrylic, start a new sketch on this face. All right, and then I can just kind of start drawing something. So if I draw like a smiley face or something, so like here's that, and then two eyes. Let's do it this way, and then do kind of like an arc. Here we go. So from here to here. Let's see if I can get this done correctly. So whatever that is, 180 degrees. Okay, and then this, and then do the same thing, just a little offset. All right. But before I finish this, I'm going to try to show you what needs to happen here. So if I finish this sketch and then I tried to click on emboss, what I'm trying to show you is that to emboss something, it needs to be a closed surface. So like the outside edge of this, the face is enclosed. It's between two circles. Here, it's everything inside that circle. If I try to emboss the mouth, I have not enclosed it. You see, it's open here and it's open here. So if I cancel this and I go back into the sketch, edit the sketch, I would have to put in a line here from this point to this point. You want to make sure they show up as green dots. That makes sure that the nodes are coincident. All right, remember the constraints here, it's the coincident constraint. So if I escape and I go back here, you see that the coincident constraint is applied. All right, now if I finish the sketch and if I try to click on emboss now at this button right here, now I can emboss just the mouth, the outside, and the eyes. And you can emboss it up, but remember, most of what we're doing here, especially with the CNC router and the laser engraver, is actually cutting down. And you can emboss whatever depth you want. Be careful about this. So like 0.05. I'll do a depth of 0.05, say OK. And then that surface, you can actually make a separate color. All right, so if I wanted this to be white, that's kind of the way it'll show up when it actually engraves. So you can kind of get a feel for how it's actually going to look when You can do maybe a coarse texture white so it shows up a little bit more. And that's kind of how it'll actually look. Oops, did something that I didn't want to do there. So like this, I wanted to set to, maybe or I mean, if it's going to be the laser on the wood, you can make it like a black. Remember that kind of like chars it. All right, so change this, change these surfaces, these embossed surfaces now to maybe a black, anodized black. Not really showing up the way I thought it was going to show up. All right. Either way, it still shows up, and then it'll show up like that on your what's it called, on your assembly. And then also the big thing about this is when you make a drawing for setting up for laser, which we'll show again in a separate video, but I'm just going to show a very quick example here. If I place the acrylic here, you see how the face shows up. All right. So I'm showing the back side of this. So I would need, remember it's around the back. So I need to show the back, and then there you go. Now it shows up. And so you don't have to put in two different sketches or things like that. All right. Something else I want to point out to you. This was a very simple design. Here's an example of one that was quite a bit more complex. I did the Main East logo. And so if I wanted to actually emboss this, I'm trying to remember what face the sketch is on. I think I just, as an example, I just put this one on the front. This is just an example. And then, so I've got the logo here. So if I edit the sketch, in the end, you'd want to delete out the image that you traced. And, here's how I did it. So if I finish the sketch and then I try to emboss, one thing you'll notice is that most of it shows up in green, which means I can emboss it. But the stuff that shows up in black, there's issues there. All right. So for example, the reason the letter E is not showing up as being able to emboss, I can see that this corner here is not done. Same thing with the letter S. They're not attached here. So if I hit cancel, go back and say edit sketch, and then I say I delete out this line and I connect from here to here. I'm very careful about how I do this. Try to be. Now I finish the sketch. Now if I click emboss, the E shows up as being able to be embossed. All right. So another thing you see is that I want to emboss. So if I edit sketch, if I want to emboss this border here, what I would need to do is I would need to trim away these pieces here. All right. But something I know just because I looked at it ahead of time, that these corners are not done correctly. So I would need to redo this. And again, make sure that the green node shows up. So edit that or finish that. Click on emboss. Now I can emboss that. But again, I would need to fix the T and the S. And you got to just be really, really careful. This takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. So if you're going to do all this emboss, especially with a detailed design, it's going to get frustrating. So for example, like this T, if I look around here, I cannot find any nodes that are not, connected the way I want it to. So if I edit the sketch, so I think I'm in edit. Nope, not in edit sketch. So edit sketch. Something I noticed here is that this looks like all the sides are the way they need to be with the constraints, but it's not showing up the way I want it to. So sometimes it's just really frustrating. You just need to delete and start this letter again in order to make it work. All right, so I just need to fix this S. And all right, so and then I'll just go through the process. Everything except for the T is going to get embossed right now. So if I click on emboss, so say I want to do this, the A, the M, I, N, You gotta be super careful about what you click on here. Okay, that order, that, this, here, here, and then I can do blue demons. And again, you gotta be just very careful in what you select. If you select the wrong thing, it's all gonna have issues. So again, that T, I would have to redo that in order to make that work. Hit OK, and that all embosses. And now that will show up on my drawing file. I try to put it there. Let's see. Yep, there it is. And so now that would be ready to set up. You have to manipulate a little bit, but that's pretty much ready to go to engrave, except for that T, of course, that's missing. All right, so that's how you do an emboss feature. It does take a while, so be ready for some frustration and some confusion. But, pretty cool process, and it shows up in your inventor.